In this video, I'm going to show you the difference between spring and summer food plots versus fall food plots on your property. So before we get into today's video, I want to give a special shout out to Fourth Arrow hunting camera arms. So if you want to film your hunts, or if you just want a shooting arm for your blinds, for your rifles or shotguns, go to Fourth Arrow camera arms, and they'll have all those for blinds, tree stands, even spot and stock hunting. So if you want those, go to fourtharrowhunting.com, huntingcameraarms.com, and there's a special discount code, ID, capital I, capital D, -Whitetail Habitat 20, and I'll put a link in the description, and you'll get a discount on your order. So food plots are a great attraction to your property to help attract mature bucks, hold mature bucks, grow mature bucks, and build a deer herd in general. But there's a big difference between spring and summer food plots, which you'll be, if you're doing spring food plots, you'll be planting those right now or around this time, versus fall food plots. And so the number one point is should you plant spring and summer food plots? Should you plant fall food plots? Now obviously we all want food plots during the fall, because that will help attract a mature buck during the season and in the season range, so we can shoot that mature buck out of that hunting plot. And so the reason why spring and summer food plots are different between fall food plots is because there's a lot more food everywhere else in the summer and spring than there is in the fall. So spring, we'll start with spring food plots real quick. Spring food plots are okay for your property because the green is still coming in. There's a little bit of green everywhere right now, but not like it is in the middle of June, even into May. So that's spring food plots right now, or even clover from last season. If you planted that last season and it's coming in spring, you can leave it there until about June. And so when June hits during the summer food plots are not good, and I'm going to go through that down here. But summer food plots, I would not suggest putting on your property unless you're doing the right habitat improvements and the right steps to hold mature bucks on your property during the hunting season, not during the summer. And so number 3 is fall food plots, and that's when food plots are the most critical, is during the fall and during the winter. So should you plant spring food plots, summer food plots, fall food plots? Now my fall food plots and my spring food plots are pretty much the same thing, because I like to use clover a lot of times, and usually that clover comes back in during the spring. So it'll last about till maybe mid-November, and then it will die off to the winter, and then it'll come back the next spring. So like I said, the fall food plot seed from when you planted it maybe in August dies off during November into December, and then it comes back. Or most clovers do that, not all clovers. But then it comes back during the spring. In fact, my clover's just about popping up right now. Got some pretty good growth on it right now. But I'm going to be killing that around July or June, because I'm going to be planting buckwheat, so that way it's a cover crop for the weeds during the summer. And so summer weeds, that's another thing I'm going to talk about. The reason why you don't need summer plots is because there are summer weeds. Now, if you do have summer plots and you have had them in the past, weeds in a summer plot are okay. But weeds in a fall food plot are not okay, because you're diminishing the value once those weeds die. But during the summer, they're hardly even recognizable, really, because everything is just green. But that's different during the fall when stuff starts to die out, plants start to die out. So, summer weeds. There's plenty of other food in the deer woods at the time when you would be planting summer food plots. So the reason why I'm not planting summer food plots is because there's an attraction everywhere you go, because there's food everywhere in the woods. Now, if you have a really nice food plot, nice summer food plot, that might be better than the food in the woods, the natural food in the woods, then you're going to attract bucks to your property during the summer. And that is not a good thing because those bucks will leave the annual whitetail shift. It's very noticeable. You'll recognize it once those bucks, if you have a good property, those bucks will start coming in during October sometime. But if you have a bad property, those bucks will start leaving during October sometime. So there's a big difference. So if you have summer weeds and you're attracting summer bucks, then those bucks are going to leave during the hunting season, and you're not going to shoot them because you have a different habitat, and they need fall habitat. They need that habitat change into their fall and winter habitat. So that's number 2. Now number 3 is buck attraction at the wrong time, which is kind of what I talked about. I got a little bit ahead of myself there, but just going over it again, if you have a summer food plot, then you're attracting those bucks to that food plot, and then they're not going to be there for the hunting season. Now, I'm fortunate enough to go in my woods and work on habitat and stuff like that, especially at the four-wheeler, and that's four-wheeler presence, human presence, that the deer don't want to come on my property during the summer because I'm out there all the time. So that also keeps them off. But I know if you got a hunting lease, if your lease is or your property is 5 hours away, etc., then those bucks are going to be on your property during the summer, and you can't really control what they're doing if you have a summer food plot. So the only way you control if bucks are on your property during the summer is taking out, spraying, killing that plot during the summer, and then reseeding it back in the fall around August time, because then the plants will come up for your October time frame. And so 4, already food. So like I said, the summer weeds goes back to that. There's already food in the woods in the time that you're going to be planning your summer food plot, because summer food plots are not good for your property unless you're doing the right habitat changes. I mean, even here, I'm trying to do the best that I can for the whitetail herd, but I'm still not going to be putting out food, because here, there's a bunch of ag fields around here, so they can get their food from that, and they should be planting here pretty soon, actually. So they can get their food from ag fields, especially if you're in those ag regions, agricultural states. But if you're just in a bunch of woods, then if you're in a big wood setting, mature wood setting, then there's no reason to put food plots out during the summer, because there's already a bunch of food out there. Even acorns fall really during the hunting season too. That's a great food source for deer during the season, but that can also provide food sources even on public land. There's no food plots on public land typically, so those acorn flats are really good for hunting, and those could even be the destination food source. So hopefully in the soon future, I will be doing a video on just early season food and a bunch of food plot videos, because this is the time, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I have in the past. And so if you don't have summer food plots this year, then you're going to be greatly rewarded this following season in the fall, and you're going to be able to have a lot of bucks on your property and deer on your property in general. And so that's really good for your hunting property, to make sure that you only have fall food plots and spring food plots only for a little bit, and then you're killing those food plots off during the summer.